Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Ergo Pulse. And I think I kind of say that every single time, don't I, Joe?
But it's a good intro. I like it. Stick to what works.
Yeah. That's always good. That's always good, I guess. And but you haven't really made any Pulse references lately. You made them in the first couple of episodes. Now, do you not have your finger on the pulse of the Ergo community anymore, or what's going on?
Early in the morning, man. I got to get my own pulse moving first before I think on that high level to make jokes. I'm just gonna sit back.
Oh, I see.
Enjoy the conversation.
I see. So you're gonna hang and chill, I'm forgetting the English language. Hanging loose, chilling out in the morning.
Wake up.
And the first or the second face you have to look at is mine. Joe. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But today we have none other than the famous or the infamous? The famous. The famous. Sometimes the infamous. MrStahlfelge. Am I saying that right? Because I read it. I never say it out loud. Am I saying it right?
Nearly. It is Stahlfelge.
Stahlfelge.
It means steel wheel.
Yeah, steel wheel. Okay, exactly.
Okay, can I call you Mr. Steel Wheel then?
Sure, you can say that. It is a nickname I got from my friends because I refused to take alloy wheels on my car. And so they said that I'm Mr. Stahlfelge.
Okay, help me again. Mr. Stahlfelge? I say that again?
Mr. Stahlfelge.
Stahlfelge. Okay, now I got it. Stahlfelge. Because, a certain Zengate co-founder was telling me that it's Stahlfelge or something like that. I'm like, I don't know about that. It's Stahlfelge. Okay. Anyway, can I call you Ben? Is that okay? Benjamin?
Yeah, sure. Or Mr. S.
Okay.
Is also nice.
Mr. S. But let's keep it degen. Let's keep it anon. Okay. Mr. S. All right, Mr. S. Well, listen, it's great to have you on the show. A fan of your work, obviously, and such a big fan that we were honored to be able to release the latest version of Ergo Wallet, now Terminus, on the Apple Store through Zengate. So thank you very much for that opportunity. Obviously it's all you, but it was just great to be able to add to it just a little bit and give our iOS users and iPhone users accessibility to the wallet without having to go through test flight. So, like real 100% people now, right? We go to the App Store, we download it, it's all good, right? So that's how it's supposed to be. That's how life is supposed to be, right?
It's really great that we could make it happen with your account, because the version is already nearly a year old and still on test flight. My attempt to get it on the App Store was before Christmas last year, and then they refused to release it on the store because I'm just an individual developer and not a company. So that was the problem. A company was needed.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm glad that we were that company that could help you, because one of our main missions is to bring more adoption to the Ergo ecosystem, and this was a great way to do so. Especially with the merch coming, I think we're going to get a much bigger influx of new Ergonauts into the Ergo ecosystem, and just the fact that we have a wallet, an official wallet, at the iPhone App Store, the Apple App Store. It's just huge. Really excited about that. So why don't you tell us a little bit, just kind of about your humble beginnings in the ecosystem. What brought you to Ergo?
Indeed, I came to Ergo as a miner, but just a hobby miner. I had to buy a new graphics card last year. And we all know the prices for graphics card. I just wanted to buy it to render some nice graphics with Blender, and had to pay so much for this graphics card that I decided to try this mining all people were doing with this graphics card. And so I tried to mine all coins that were mineable with this graphics card. And that's how I came to Ergo. Yeah, I tried every coin, and for that I had to make a wallet for every of these coins, and it was not easy to get a wallet for Ergo. There was no mobile wallet app at that time, and because I am an Android developer, I checked the resources and found the SDK that was already prepared to be used on Android. And so I felt in charge to change it and develop a wallet for Android.
Excellent. And then you had to really just, bite your knuckles and do the same thing for the iPhone. I know personally the pain of developing iPhone apps. I've done it myself. It is not pretty. You have at least one or two WTF moments of why this is happening. What the hell do they want? Why isn't it accepted? So yeah, and so you decided to also do the iPhone version, right? So it's basically it's the same version, right? It's the same UX, UI, the same wallet. Is that correct, or is there any kind of difference?
It is nearly the same, and the business logic code is shared between all platforms. There's a desktop port now as well, the iOS port and Android. And what is made for every platform from scratch is the UI. So the UI logic is the same, that is shared, but the UI system used is always the native from the operating system. That means on Android, it is Material UI, and on iOS, it is UIKit, which is Apple's toolbox.
Yeah, and I've been through the painful procedure of wireframing and all that good stuff on iOS. So again, I feel your pain, and thank you very much for putting up with the pain to get this app to us, because one of the things that when I came into the Ergo ecosystem, which was in the beginning of this year, was the fact that we were lacking. I mean, at that point, you already had your Android wallet out. Is that correct?
Yeah.
When was it? When did it come out?
The first version of the Android wallet was in June. Yeah, it was June 2021, but it was not as powerful as it is now. It couldn't handle tokens. I wouldn't display the tokens if you had one, only sending, receiving. So it was a miner's wallet.
Right. Yeah, I remember that in the few months that I've been in the Ergo ecosystem, the wallet really, you did a lot of work on it. There's been just, it really, you added a lot of functionality to it. You changed the UX and UI on it, or at least to the extent that I saw. So yeah, it just really bloomed really well. I'm really, really excited about what it's become.
Yeah.
Joe, so tell me what has been the wallet experience in general for Ergo so far until Mr. S decided to do us a proper mobile light wallet?
Well, I think Ergo has always been pretty strong on like back-end development, but when it gets to user experience and plugging things together, that just makes things easy and relatively seamless. That mobile build was a huge step forward in our ecosystem. And one thing I'm the most grateful for, Ben, I have to thank you for, is the cold storage on the wallet device. You know, these hardware wallets are little fiddly things, you know, about the size of my little finger with their little buttons and whatnot. And having the ability to take an old phone, and I know some people in the ecosystem have even picked up like track burner phones where you add minutes as you go, side load it, and have a hardware wallet that you can actually use easily. It's just huge.
I'm especially glad that now iOS devices can be used as a cold wallet with the App Store release, because the test flight version we had out before was time restricted and had to be updated then when the time was over. So it was not possible to use an iOS device as a cold wallet device. And some people have old iPhones around and wanted to use that device as a cold wallet. Now with the Terminus release, it is possible as well, not only to use old Android phones, but also iOS devices. And now today, with the desktop port, you can also use an Raspberry Pi in offline mode as a cold device.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I really do think that that is one of the features that, you know, it's so easy, like your mother can do it type thing. Like I always hope that we develop to the point where the average normie can understand, you know, what's going on. And when you give them, let's say, a ledger with their fiddly little buttons and like 10 pixel by 10 pixel screen, you know, it's just difficult, versus having the phone user experience involved is a huge step forward in terms of just usability and accessibility for the general public.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that it is. It seems to be the only wallet to support such a feature. Even Bitcoin does not have it, but it is. For me, it was a straightforward idea to develop it.
Yeah, I'd say revolutionary in terms of that, personally. But yeah, some Bitcoin wallets are still pretty janky, let's call it. That's a good word.
Yeah. And I you know, everybody's screaming for a ledger integration for Ergo, but I don't know, man. That thing, you just sit there. No. Damn it, I missed it. Let me go back. No, my pat. You know, you have to put in your PIN number with the little buttons. It's like, oh God,
yeah,
please.
We have done actually all the development on our side. The Ledger team is still working on integrating. I think they had some issue in their system that they wanted to patch first. But yeah, in terms of like even the cost, you can buy a burner, you know, Android phone where it's add minutes as you go for less than a ledger, and you can actually use it. You know, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, it would be great to have a device that cannot send and receive data. You always have to use a flight mode. It would be great to have a device without the sending the radio inside. But as far as I know, there is none available.
I'm not familiar with one, but maybe it's a possibility. Somebody can remove components or something.
Well, you use some of these Japanese phones. Doesn't matter where you go, you're going to get no reception. So that could be your thing. But then maybe it's just in Japan. I don't know. Was in the middle of the city today, 0 bars. Why? Why do I have 0 bars in the middle of the city? Anyway, that's a different tangent. We're not going to get into that. I've spoken about my disdain for Japanese internet and connectivity before, so we're not going to get into that. But what I really do want to get into is Mosaik. So tell us a little bit about that, or a lot about that actually, because I'm really interested in that. This is actually something that I was potentially looking to develop with Zengate, and then when I read up about it, when Joe told me about it, I would got really excited because you put in the work, you're making it open source. So basically, what I can do is I can add components to it that that we specifically were thinking about adding to it without having to just start out from scratch. So tell us about that. Tell us about Mosaik.
Yeah, it is a UI system that is made to be used in the wallet applications at first, but it can also be used on the web. We have the problem when developing on Ergo that we have three different layers. We have the smart contracts that are always done in Ergo script. Then we have off-chain code that we can do in any language that we want. And then there's also a UI layer. And problem we have, especially in small teams, is you need three different types of skills to tackle all these layers. So what I wanted to achieve with Mosaik is that the user interface layer is away from the developer of a dApp. He just can focus on the smart contracts and the off-chain code and can handle all UI platforms, web browser, and mobile applications with a single code base. So that is what Mosaik is about. That means that it is a very basic UI layer. You can't do very fancy stuff with it, but that's not needed on mobile platforms anyway. And mobile UI is always very basic and not much fancy stuff around, so that you can focus on the important things, enter some data, how many ZIG USD you want to buy, for example, and exchange it. This example that I just mentioned is already a Mosaik UI on TokenJ. The ZIG USD exchange is made with Mosaik, so every user can already see what this interface looks like. But the most important thing is that it is really one code base that works in the mobile wallet and shows its UI, and in the web browser as well. So it is a way to make it more easy for dApp developers with small teams. I expect big teams to develop own user interfaces for web, but small teams just starting with their dApp have lower time to get to the user by just using Mosaik. And that's the main goal here.
And I think there's a lot to be said in terms of plugging not only Mosaik in, but having ErgoPay support as well. That's been huge in terms of just the ease of interacting with smart contracts. Getting away from the copy-paste stress in crypto is definitely appreciated. That's one of those things where a lot of people will be on the browser, they'll copy, they'll paste, and they have to read through all of these characters and numbers, and their blood pressure moves a little bit. Let's just say that. And having
everyone can try Mosaik with ErgoPay on TokenJ when exchanging ZigUSD. And I think the advantage is on first sight, you can see exactly what will happen with your exchange and confirm it, or you can discard it and nothing happens. And not sending any funds anywhere, exactly what you said, without knowing what will really happen.
Yeah, that's a big step forward, just in terms of the general user experience. I think a lot of people in crypto have learned to kind of accept and appreciate that. But when you have again, let's say like grandmother joins and now she's got to copy paste and verify this long string of characters, good luck finding your glasses.
Yeah.
Even.
So Mosaik and ErgoPay are still two different things. They just work very good together. ErgoPay is a protocol so that wallets can interact with smart contracts, and the DApp can exactly define how it should do that. That is already present for some time now, but it is a bit difficult to handle for DApp developers because they have to have different code bases. If you are on a mobile platform, you have to call the wallet application different than on desktop, where you have to show a QR code. And Mosaik handles all these cases. If it is on a web browser, it automatically shows QR codes for the user to scan. If it is on a mobile device in the web browser, it shows a button so that the wallet application opens up. And when it is executed within the wallet, then the wallet automatically switches to the ErgoPay signing screen.
I think there's something to be said, though, about plugging those two together. The complementary aspect and user experience is massive. So any dApp developers out there, it's certainly something I would push for and hope you would consider in terms of supporting, because it just makes things simple, and having things that are simple and work, it's valuable.
I would love to see adoption in Mosaik. It is even possible to use it with completely decentralized applications. You can have downloadable executable that you run on your machine, but it can also use Mosaik to have a web server running so that users can open up the browser to interact with a locally running application, or from the mobile wallet access this web server. Mosaik always works with a web server. That's why it's, or that's how it works on TokenJ, and that's why you have to enter an HTTP URL. But this web server does not need to run in the internet. It can run locally.
Yeah, nice. Well, another question, if you're willing to get into it, I would say, as Ergo moves into the future, what would be your, let's say, contribution or thinking, planning in terms of improving the Node or Explorer instance that we're currently running?
There are already plans for the Node to make it more powerful with API endpoints to handle, to send, or to put it that way, to get away from Explorer as single point of failure. So at the moment, all lightweight wallets have a dependency to the Explorer, which is our centralized server, and it is really important to get away from that. Because it is centralized and because it always begins to struggle when we have a lot of load on the network. So our network congestion is not by the network, but by Explorer getting out of resources. So this is really something that has to be done. And for the wallet application itself, hand in hand with getting away from the centralized application is NepoPow support, which I think is very important, and I'm really motivated to integrate it into the wallet, just waiting for the SDK to land so that I can start working on it.
Yeah, that's going to be the next, I would say if you look at like evolution, big steps, cold storage was massive. Having ErgoPay and Mosaik together as a duo is a huge step forward. And then once we get NepoPow support, the SDK is passed on to developers and we see that integrated, that's going to really be just the next step of evolution in terms of the ecosystem. So I'm pretty excited to see that roll out. I'm not quite sure where the Sigma Rust team is with that, but
so tell us a little bit more about ErgoPay. So let's say I am a new person coming into the Ergo ecosystem, right? I download the wallet. What should I expect? So what do you want people to use right away, and what do you want people to kind of explore before they use it? And why don't you just give us a little bit more about ErgoPay, because I'd really like to know that. What are your thoughts behind? Well, first of all, where did you come up with the original idea? Although some of it might be obvious, but then maybe your journey was not that obvious. And really, where do you see it going? How do you see it being developed? How would you like to see the community develop it?
Okay, so to your first question, what people should explore in the wallet, that really depends on the use case. The wallet application is intended to be used by everyone, so miners usually just store their funds. Probably most interesting for them is the cold wallet feature, if they hold for a long time at least. Then there are NFT holders. For them, the coolest feature probably is that the wallet can show the pictures on NFTs, of NFT tokens when you tap on it. And ErgoPay is not, it can't be seen and can't be triggered from within the wallet. You need the dApp to trigger it, because it is a protocol between the dApp and the wallet. So at the moment, we have not much coverage for ErgoPay in the dApps. We have TokenJ, which is my own project as a showcase to show ErgoPay, and ErgoPad staking, if I remember correctly, is already supported with ErgoPay. So how it works is that the dApp can pre-build the transaction that has to be made and transfer it to the wallet for the user to sign it. So and for a smart contract, it is very important to know how the transaction inputs and outputs have to be ordered, made, registers have to be set. That is to be done by the dApp, and then it can convert this pre-built transaction in a so-called reduced transaction to send it to the wallet application. Then user can review the amounts that will be transferred and sign it with their private keys, and the private keys will never leave the device. So that's the thing about ErgoPay. And I hope other dApps will also begin to use it, because everywhere where you have interaction with a smart contract, ErgoPay is a natural thing to do. Most dApps use the web dApp connector at the moment to interact with the smart contracts, but the web dApp connector, as the name says, is only applicable to use in web extension wallets. And from my point of view, a web extension wallet is nice, but it is not really secure, because you always use it on a desktop. And my background as an Android developer is I developed before I came to Ergo or banking apps. And there's a good reason why in all banking apps you have to sign your transactions with a mobile device as well, and not on your desktop, because mobile devices are just more secure. The processes on the mobile operating systems are running in sandboxes, and no other processes can access the data in these sandboxes. And that's why I would always hold secrets, so the secret keys, only on a mobile device, not on a desktop.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something that I certainly try to push for ErgoPay integration, and actually I've even been talking to exchanges just about simple withdrawals, deposits, QR code, trying to make things as simple as possible. I think that, as the ecosystem develops, that always needs to be a goal. How can we make things simple that work and are also secure? And I think ErgoPay is a huge step towards that. Mosaik is a huge step towards just simple framework UIs and making everything easy in one spot. So I'm a big fan of your work.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so you're also a core developer for Ergo, which is a huge thing, and we again really thankful for the input that you provided for the core develop protocol. And so just give us a little bit of kind of your perspective. What excites you about, first of all, the development and where we're going with the development of the protocol, and then just a bit of a more broader view of what excites you about where the ecosystem is heading, where it has been, where it is right now, how it expanded, and where it's heading. Because again, you've been around for a while. You had a lot of input into the ecosystem and into what it's become right now. So we'd really love to hear your perspective on these things.
I'm most excited about the fast development the community is making. I'm here for now a year and 4 months. And when I compare how everything was when I started with Ergo and how it is now, there's so much happened. We already have competing dApps, Sky Harbor and the Auction Horse, both NFT marketplaces. It is. I'm just every day I'm reading through the Telegram groups and Reddit, and every day something happens. It is never boring. That is great to see, and especially when it comes to competing dApps, then real innovation is happening. When we not just have a single dApp tackling a certain problem, but different ones. So very exciting for me is also, of course, bridges to other changes. I'm not a crypto developer. I'm an Android developer. So some of these things that are happening are for me as secret as for the layman user. So how bridges work and how the level 2 solutions are being developed, that is something I'm not really in. So I'm just the audience there, and watching things develop there is interesting and exciting for me.
And so where do you see us heading? I mean, say a year from now. You've been here for a year and a half. So a year from now, from what you've seen, where do you think we will be? And again, I know it's a bit of a ambiguous question, but I really want to hear your input on this. Where do you think we're heading?
Well, I think we are already getting more attention now. It's before Ethereum merged, and we already get a lot of attention from people that were not seeing Ergo before. So getting all this attention will hopefully lead to even more dApps and users in the next year, and that is good for the ecosystem. Even more dApps. Of course, I hope that some of the dApps will adopt ErgoPay and Mosaik, because in my opinion, the users want to work on mobile devices and not on a desktop. So maybe also for me very exciting would be a real big dApp adopting these features. ErgoPad is of course a big project, but it is not dApp in the sense of that people are interacting with it every day. So something like a marketplace that works with ErgoPay and Mosaik would be very great to see for me.
Well, Mr. S, listen, it was great to have you here. Great to have you on the show. It was great to hear your perspective on the ecosystem, on development, and get your kind of inside scoop on the wallet now named Terminus. And well, I guess this is the end of this episode of Ergo Pulse, and please tune in next month when we explore another awesome Ergo ecosystem project or person that community member that people know and love. We're also going to have more of those. It doesn't just have to be projects from here on. And would love to see you again. So thanks a lot for watching, and everybody have a good morning, day, or evening, or whatever it is where you're at in the world. So long, everybody.
Good one.
Bye.